We'll now begin working on our hair rig. So the hair can get quite complex. For a game character, you may consider just an FK system. So that's what we're going to design, because FK can give us a lot of great control and give us the follow-through sway we need to animate the hair in a realistic way. Now, what's going to be difficult is aligning our joints so that they are positioned where we want them to be spaced along this character's hair geometry. But what we'll do is utilize a mel code, a mel tool, to have this done a lot faster. So let's go ahead and take a look at that tool. Moving over to our script editor, we can choose File, Load Script, and I'll choose the script folder. Alright, so what we're going to want to do is grab our center world joint code and choose Open to load it in. So what this is going to do is create a single joint at the center of selected components. So for instance, let's go ahead and highlight this, and let's go ahead and bring this to the shelf. We'll explain it later, but let's go ahead and just see how this works. I'll add it to the shelf. Now, let's say if we had a face selected and we wanted to center a joint on the selected face, well, we can now run the code and the joint has been centered. So this is going to save us a lot of time then. But specifically, here's what the code does. So first, what we do is we take the selected component and convert the selection to vertices. So that's what this first part does. Next, what we do is find the selection and we use the flag -FL to flatten the selection in order to grab the ID of our components. Next, what we do is we create a cluster that ties down those selected components. And then what we do is we create a joint, and to make sure that the joint is not parented to the cluster, we clear our selection. So we clear the selection and then we create a joint. Next, we point constrain the joint to our cluster. So there's the variable for the cluster and there's the one for the joint. Next, the code finds the point constraint, so we use the list relatives command to do that. Specifically, a point constraint. And then we find it on our joint object. And that's stored in this variable. Next, the code finds or selects the point constraint, and then it also selects at the same time our cluster, and it deletes them both. Finally, this code will grab our joint object. So that's what is selected at the end of this. Alright, so with that said, let's say we start to build joints around the hair. And we want to strategically place these joints so that we have control where we need control. We don't want to place them everywhere on the hair, which would be a hassle for the animator to animate. So getting started, we'll first go ahead and head over to our shelf editor, and it'd be a good idea to rename our code so we can always call this our center joint tool. I'll go ahead and highlight the name, copy it, and use that to rename the tooltip. Or if you'd like to add instructions, you can. And then for the icon label, we can call this CJNT and save out our shelf. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started with this. What we'll do is create 2 bones for each section except for this little hair strand or this tiny bang. We'll just use 1 bone for that, but in total we should end up with about 13 bones by the end of this. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. We'll go to component mode, can grab a vertex, Run our tool to create a joint. Feel free to turn on wireframe unshaded, by the way. It's always a good idea to keep in mind our topology. Let's go ahead and move to the next vertex. And again, we'll want to create a joint. And then we'll place the last one at the edge of the hair. So what I'll do is go ahead and create a joint after selecting the edge so that the joint will be centered on that edge. Great. We'll want to scale these joints down, but we'll worry about that later. So let's go ahead and move to the edge of the hair. So at this point, if you like, feel free to use face mode. So that's going to be one joint. Going back to face mode. Let's go ahead and create another one. And one more at the bottom part of the hair. We could always go to face mode, select this bottom face, and create a joint. All right, so next we'll need control for the back of the hair. So let's go ahead and work on that. We can, let's say, go to vertex mode this time. Select the vertex, press the G key to rerun the tool. Go to the next vertex, run the tool, and we'll place the last one on this edge. So you can see how much time scripting can save us. Okay, so we just have a few more to build. Let's go ahead and get this finished up. We can go to face mode. I'll go ahead and create a joint on this face. We'll go to the next. Let's say create a joint, perhaps on not this face, but perhaps the edge that connects to it. Okay, and then we can add a joint at the very edge of the hair. There we have it. So now we just have a few more to build. So let's say we go to edge mode, we'll go to wireframe, we'll start at the top of this right bang. Select the two edges, run our tool. I'll go back to a shaded mode so we can grab the next edge, which is going to be this one here. And what I'm doing is I'm looking at the major bend where that changes. Because again, we don't want to populate our hair with joints. Just want enough control. All right, so I'll grab the edge on the opposite side, run the tool. And now we can go ahead and select this bottom face. Again, create a joint. Let's go ahead and move over to the next section and create joints. So we'll go ahead and do as we've done before, grab a few edges, generate a joint. And remember, for the small one, we only need one bone. All right. Again, one bone is defined by two joints tied together, of course. So just to clarify that. All right, so I'll go ahead and create a bone at the very end. And we'll kind of finish up here. I'll grab the next edge. Grab the edge that is on the opposite side. And for this one, we'll create a set of two bones. So let's go ahead and grab our edges, run our tool, and do this one more time. We'll grab that bottom face and run our tool. Great. Let's go ahead and head over to our outliner to drop the radii on these joints. So I'll go ahead and grab each of them. With them all selected, we'll go ahead and bring their size down to about 0.3. That's a lot easier to work with. All right, well, at this time, we will stop the lesson and work on renaming these and reorienting them in the following lesson.